It is truly an embarrassment to him, and I am looking forward to the response of everyday Bronxites talking about how they feel.
I would love to go to a rally with Donald Trump come, because I'm a big Donald Trump supporter, and I will support him 100%.
As you know, Donald Trump is facing a trial in Manhattan right now. We're giving you daily updates on that, of course. And both sides have rested. They're not going to do their final rebuttals and final arguments. Looks like the jury is going to get this early next week. So while Donald Trump is in New York, he's going to have a rally. Now, we've already seen him go to Harlem, where he visited that Spanish bodega, where the owner was prosecuted by Alvin Bragg for defending himself and his property, and a mini rally broke out on the sidewalk. He stopped by construction workers in Lower Manhattan with their hard hats, and he got the endorsement from the union. He stopped by a fire department and delivered pizzas. Wholesome stuff, right? Well, tomorrow he's going to the Bronx, and he's going to be having a rally. And, well, they're already getting ready for a huge crowd. Look at these flyers and posters that are going up all over New York, right? See that? They're putting them up in the bodega restaurants. Presidente Trump in El Bronx. This is great. President Trump in the Bronx. You're seeing the signs all over the place. Look at that. In a community center with the police department logo there. President Trump will be in the Bronx. They've even got a digital billboard up letting everybody know that tomorrow at 3 p.m. when the doors open, Donald Trump will be having a rally in the Bronx. You know what the very best part of all of this is? The Bronx is currently represented in the United States House of Representatives by this woman. That's right. This is AOC's district. Now, she's not actually from the Bronx. She tells everyone she's from the Bronx, but she grew up a little further up in a tony little rich suburb, but that screws up the whole persona of her, you know, in her Bronx accent, acting like she's Jenny on the block. So she was asked, what do you think is going to happen when Donald Trump goes to the Bronx? And in just this 25 seconds, she reveals a hell of a lot, as they always do. When they're confident and arrogant, they reveal a ton. Listen with me and we'll break it down.
By the way, he's doing it in the South Bronx, not to make a point, but because he's got court. And the man practically has the legal version of an ankle bracelet around him, and he can't leave the 5 boroughs because he always has to be in court. And so it is truly an embarrassment to him. And I am looking forward to the response of everyday Bronxites talking about how they feel about him coming to their event.
All right. So first, the first part of that was the revealing part. Do you ever notice whenever, like when Biden accepted Trump's challenge for a debate, everyone says Biden challenged Trump to a debate. No, he accepted Trump's challenge that's been going on since January for a debate. But did you notice they made a little joke at the end? Let's do it any day. I hear you're free on Wednesdays. See, that was a little jab at Trump because Wednesday is recess day for his trial in Manhattan. Do you ever notice the glee, the absolute joy that Democrats, activists take in relishing the fact that Donald Trump has to defend himself against these criminal charges? Right? It's revealing. It's a bit of a tell that they're in on the game and they're in on the joke, that this whole thing, as we know, has nothing to do with the law or justice or enforcing the law or punishing someone for breaking a law. It has to do with politics. So that first part there, it's like he's got an ankle bracelet. He's got a day in court. That's why he's doing it in the Bronx, because he's not allowed to leave. That is her celebrating this political persecution of the man, which is incredibly revealing, number one. But then that second part, I look forward to seeing what real Bronxites have to say about Donald Trump when he comes and shows up in their neighborhood. Well, she doesn't have to wait for tomorrow at 3 o'clock, because we've had some people take a microphone out onto the street and they've shared their findings with all of us on social media. Let's take a quick look here. When AOC says real Bronxites, I'm pretty sure she's specifically talking about people like this.
If President Trump came here to the South Bronx, would you attend the rally?
Of course, I would want to meet Trump. I want to shake his hand. He's the only president that I see that can ever make America great again. He's capable of doing that.
I would love to go to a rally where Donald Trump come, because I'm a big Donald Trump supporter, and I will support him 100%.
Oh, yeah, definitely we're going to show him love. We're going to show him a lot of love, and, you know, like they do in other states. We definitely need to see Trump here.
There's nothing but love for Donald Trump here in the South Bronx, the North Bronx, the East Bronx, and the West Bronx.
So tell me.
We want Trump to come back. Please, bro. Biden, get out of here, bro.
I would come to the rally and support Trump, because the Bronx need a change, and we need somebody that's really going to help this community.
I would definitely come to a Trump rally in the South Bronx. I like him.
You do?
Yes.
Yes, I will come to a rally if President Trump was to come to the Bronx, and I also would bring other people to come too and support him.
Would Joe Biden get a warm reception if he came to the Bronx?
No, he wouldn't have, and I'll make sure of that.
Thank you, Newsmax, by the way. Great package that they put together there. Hey, AOC, where are you? Yo, baby girl. Isn't that what she calls MTG? Oh, baby girl. I can't hear you. These are your people. These are Bronxites. You said you wanted to see what Bronxites had to say when Donald Trump showed up. So they're letting you know. Which begs the question, why doesn't Joe Biden do a rally in the Bronx? That would be, honestly, AOC should invite Joe Biden for a rally. That would send the message. That would prove to the world how popular he is and how much they hate Trump. Do you think that's going to happen? This woman, by the way, she looks like she's a military veteran. And she also spent some time talking about how eager she is to have Donald Trump do this rally in the Bronx tomorrow. Look, on the face of it, this is someone who AOC represents in Congress right now. Those real Bronxites that she was talking about.
I am extremely proud to be an American. I am extremely proud to say that I will be voting for Trump in November. This will be the first time that this has been brought to the South Bronx. I lived right here in the South Bronx for 15 years. Right in the projects. This is the poorest, most depressing, most unemployment, most high crime rate area within the 5 boroughs of New York City. How dare anyone think that they have the luxury of not being able to support someone who is offering them a hand up and not a handout. Trump would actually bring employment opportunities to this community. He will fix dilapidated housing and failing schools. He will create jobs. He will give people pathways out of poverty, up on their own feet to be independent, so they won't have to be like Richie Torres made a tweet this morning and said that the South Bronx would never support Donald Trump because he threatens the social safety networks, meaning he's saying that Donald Trump would end their welfare. We don't want welfare. We don't want welfare. We want jobs. We want fair housing. We want better schools.
Just awesome. Come out of the closet, indeed. This is somebody who AOC represents in Congress, and that arrogance that she had, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, about, yeah, I'd like to see what real Bronxites feel about this. They take these voters so for granted. For how many decades have people in the South Bronx been dealing with crime and poverty and failed schools, failed neighborhoods, and they're 100% ruled by Democrats, like across the board. I jokingly said Joe Biden won't go there, but the real reason is he doesn't have to. He knows they're going to vote for him, so why bother? What's the point? You know, all of this reminded me of something, and I searched on social media, and I found that somebody else had posted this video. The South Bronx is very significant when it comes to presidential politics. In 1976, then upstart Jimmy Carter, the governor of Georgia, traveled to the South Bronx to make a lot of big promises there about how he was going to help that city. You know, New York City, I think right around then, was on the verge of declaring bankruptcy. And he made promises about how he was going to save New York, and specifically the South Bronx. He promised he would bring 20,000 new housing units into the impoverished area and help the neighborhood out. Well, 3 years later, the former governor of California, Ronald Reagan, was running for president as a Republican. And he, like Donald Trump tomorrow, traveled to the South Bronx. And I'm so grateful for the person on social media. They go by the Rubber Duck. So this is why we love X. Thank you, Rubber Duck, for finding this video, because I searched for it myself. This is great. This is 15 minutes worth of Ronald Reagan. We're only going to watch a clip of it. And you'll see he's got a little security detail, but this was not a rally. He was just standing on a corner in the Bronx in the middle of what looks like bombed out buildings, because that's how devastating it was. And in some cases still is. And watch him talk about the failed promises of Jimmy Carter and the Democrats, and watch him engage with the people of the Bronx.
I came here because almost 3 years ago, President Carter came down to this very spot and he announced a great plan for building houses for 27,000 people, building industries to provide jobs, really taking care of the entire thing, about $1.5 billion plan. It is 3 years.
What are you going to do?
Wait a minute.
What are you going to do?
It is 3 years and nothing has been done.
We know
The plan.
that. It's written everywhere.
Please, wait a minute.
Listen,
man. I'll get there.
But you don't need to speak. Just tell us, and we be happy. We go home.
All right. Now, that was almost 3 years ago, and today the president blames the local officials, the mayor of the city, and others, and says they called it off.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do for us? No riots, no nothing. Just tell us.
Right now in Congress, is some. I'm trying to tell you. I am trying to tell you that I know now there is no program or promise that a president can make that the federal government can come in and wave a wand and do this. Yes, there is legislation in Congress, legislation for cooperation between government, between the private sector, and using tax incentives to give the people who will take jobs, the people who will come in here and build businesses, that will give them an incentive to come in, because they'll get a tax break while they are putting those businesses and getting them established to provide jobs. Now, I support that kind of legislation. And I've got a record as governor of California in which we didn't try to do things by the government route. We use the people, and we got jobs for the people in the private sector, the kind of jobs that have got a future.
Asking you for help now.
Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing to watch? That was 1980. Ronald Reagan just standing on the corner, and then voters within 6 feet of him. That one woman shouting back, and he starts screaming back at her. I'm trying to tell you, shut up. But my favorite part of that entire thing, where he says Carter came down here, he made all these promises, broken promises, never did anything, didn't fix the problem. But then he gave them the real medicine that they had to hear, which is there is no government solution. The government's not going to wave a magic wand and fix this. This is why we loved Ronald Reagan so much. This is why I am who I am, because I was a kid watching Ronald Reagan as my president. That's what they needed to hear. It's only going to get fixed when you've got private industry having an incentive, a profit incentive, to come in here and do something to fix it. The government is actually going to make it worse, which they did, and they continue to do. By the way, as we think about Donald Trump and his rally in the South Bronx tomorrow and what he might say, I don't want to get anybody's hopes up, because, listen, we know how voting is now. It's a lot different than it was in 1980. But that year, after Ronald Reagan showed up on that street corner in the Bronx, well, that November, this is what New York looked like on election night. Ronald Reagan won New York that year by about 2 percentage points over Jimmy Carter and Ronald Reagan. Excuse me, and John Anderson. I don't think Trump's going to win New York. Don't get me wrong. But I think everything that he's been doing in New York and in Manhattan and all the media he's been getting while they forced him to be in this trial, I think it's been gold for him. And if the rally tomorrow is as impressive as I think it's going to be, and they're playing it smart, they haven't booked Madison Square Garden. It's not a football stadium. It's a little 3,000, 4,000 seat arena, a little theater place. It's going to be overflowing. It will be packed. It will look like a triumphant rally in the Bronx, something that Joe Biden just can't do. I'm not saying he's going to win Manhattan or the Bronx for that matter. It might have a ripple effect up into New York. He might make New York closer than it's been. Let me just say this. If Donald Trump can make Joe Biden and the Democrats spend time and money in New York to protect it, forget about it. If Joe Biden and the Democrats are forced to spend time and money in New York so that they don't lose, to shore up that state, it's over. It's just freaking over. And if that's the case, if that happens, the one thing that AOC said that was correct is that he's doing this because he has to be in New York. He doesn't have a choice. If he ends up making New York competitive and they got to spend time and money there, it will all be their fault. Their entire plan to politically persecute him using the legal system will come back right in their face. And it's going to be, well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. But if that were to happen, it would be pretty great.